It's a tough weekend as a Stormers fan. When your team puts up a performance like they did this weekend against Glasgow, falling out of the URC against the same team as they did last season, with a performance like that, in the same spot as last season, while all the other South African teams participated went through, including your biggest rivals, and then you post a video on TikTok and you get about 340 comments, of 100 and 150 of them are about Bulls fans talking about how shit the Stormers are. It's a tough pill to swallow, right? And I don't blame any Bulls fans doing that, because I would have done the exact same thing if roles were reversed. That's part of the rivalry. That's why I love the rivalry. That's why we love us as fans of the game, because we can banter about it. But anyway, we had the quarterfinals of the URC, and it was a brilliant weekend of rugby. Some close games, and obviously there's a massive game that we're going to talk about that took place yesterday. But just before we get into that, if you do like this channel where it's just fans coming together, just talking about shit when it comes to rugby, please do remember to hit that like and subscribe button. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys. And if you're interested in my short form content, and I'm talking about like TikTok videos, those type of things, I've moved everything over to Instagram now as well, for those of you that aren't on TikTok. So you can just go search up Casual Bias Rugby on Instagram, go give me a follow there and watch the short form content and be engaging. Go into the comments and talk a bit of shit, right? That's what it's based around. But anyway, we started off on Friday night. Now, I was pretty cocky, right? Like, we started Sapphires Unscripted again. If you guys want to go and support that as well on YouTube. And Frosty said he's going to back Glasgow, right? Even though he's a Stormers fan. And I said, that is shameful. You have to back your team. And I don't want to say I was confident going into this one, but I trusted the boys very much to go and get it done this time. We'll be fired up. And as I said in the TikTok, right? That might have been the most embarrassing performance that I've seen from the Stormers. Like, nothing went right. Absolutely nothing went right. And I don't want to discredit Glasgow at all. Like, they absolutely blitzed us. They were brilliant on defense, brilliant on attack. Just completely shut us down. Henku Venter was sensational. Carl Steyn was great. Tom Jordan had the game of his life. Carl Rowe was extraordinary. I mean, the only thing with the Stormers actually did well was scrum. It was a hit and run at Scrumfest, right? And then you had two standout guys in Paul de Villiers and Siabele Senatla. Those were the only two guys that really put up their hands. And you look at that game and it just felt like nothing went right. Whether that's just us being totally shit and Glasgow being extraordinary, I don't really know where you have to put it, right? Because our guys was terrible. And a discussion that I kind of want to have quickly is, I've seen a lot in the comment section, people talking about whether Dobbo should go or not. And if you look at the season as a whole, I don't think John Dobson necessarily has to go, right? But I do feel that there's a lot of things that could have been better. Now, I don't know the rules and regulations around all of it, but when we went through the season with about 15 injuries, I get that the performances weren't there, the results weren't there. Obviously, no one expected more of us then. What I kind of expected was more youngsters coming through. I mean, I brought up Paul de Villiers, JC Mars, and Imad Khan. Just one of them actually played the season, and it only came at the end. I just felt that the management could have been better with the young guys coming through, but obviously that could have been a structure thing or whatever it was. Right, so that's where I feel like that. But when you look at the Glasgow game, you can blame Dobson in terms of the defensive structure. I mean, it was rinse and repeat at the same time. Glasgow's attack was so good that it looked like they had a 50-man overlap every single time they got the ball. And they just kept on going past our wings like they weren't even there. Right? Every single try. It almost feels like I'm watching a soft try on repeat. But it's just because they see the gap in the defense and they exploit it absolutely brilliantly. Like, Glasgow was so clinical. Every time they got the ball, they scored points. And it wasn't even just scored points, scored tries, right? That's where you could possibly blame the coaching staff in terms of that. But when you look at, when we have a maul, and Andre Venter just randomly knocks the ball when he's got an open try line in front of him, that's not Dobson's fault, right? The players have to take blame for this. Like, there's a couple of guys that had absolute shockers. Now, I'm not saying they're bad players. I love this team to death, right? That's why it bothers me so much when you look at a performance like this. But there's guys that really, really didn't do themselves any favours. And you look at the way that some of these boys came out to play, fighting for a Springbok jersey. it didn't feel like it. It certainly didn't. As I said, there's only two guys that really stood up, and that's Paul de Villiers and Siabelo Senatla. I thought Mani Libbok was very good. I mean, he had one bad kick in our 22. Why didn't he just clear the lines, put it up and under across the pitch, straight up into the air? But that's kind of all. Right? Obviously, throughout the game, we got a couple of injuries. 6-2 split didn't help us at all, losing Dan Dupe early. Urshel Yankees had to slot in on the wing. That didn't favour us, but we lost the game far before the final whistle. And I know some people have talked about Andrew Brace's performance in this game, the way that he officiated this game with our guys being over the ball and him not necessarily giving the penalties as quickly as he gave Glasgow. And I mean, there is some truth to it, right? But I don't think Andrew Brace was bad in this game. He's certainly not to blame for the performance. The amount of knock-ons and missed tackles and just defensive fragility that we showed throughout this game was bad. It was really, really bad. It was a really tough pill to swallow this game, especially when you felt like we were going into this game with a bit of momentum, with a bit of fire in our belly. And Glasgow just, excuse me, absolutely nullified us, especially in defence, right? Like Sasha got that ball, just couldn't do anything, right? Like really couldn't do anything. That rush defence and the amount of dominant tackles, that was the crazy thing, the dominant tackles. Like sometimes you see a rush defence, you can exploit it, or a guy misses the tackle, but they just, as soon as they grabbed a hold of us, they drove us back like 2 meters every single time, got over the ball like it was absolutely nothing. I mean, of all the South African players that were in Glasgow playing that game, all the Stormers guys and whatever, the best South African player on the field was Enku Venter and Carl Steyn. Was it Carl Steyn that got man of the match as well? I'm not too sure. Maybe Enku Venter did. Carl Rowe could have. Tom Jordan could have. I mean, it was just a complete domination. But the tough pill to swallow is the fact that I'm saying it was a complete domination, but the Stormers had more than enough opportunities. We played so bad, but we had enough opportunities to actually still go and win the game. But the fact is that we all played like we were informants and that we played for Glasgow. So we just made errors on errors, stupid errors. I mean, the one thing that irks me the most about watching my team, and it's not just the Stormers, you see it from other teams. If you're like 5 meters out and you've got like a scrum penalty or something, right? And then you make a mistake at the scrum, they get a free kick or a penalty, they boot it, and you make a mistake at that line out again. And then all of a sudden they're in your 22, and then you concede points. It is the most frustrating thing that you can ever watch. So the performance of the Stormers, tough, just put the season behind us. It wasn't a good season at all. Focus on the international season. Yeah. I'm just looking forward to two big signings coming in. We've got Kobus Reinach on lockdown. We've got Tuna on lockdown. I would love to see us get a couple of guys back now from injury. I would want to see a good season out of Frans Malherbe. I want to see a better season from Salman Murat this season. Ben Jason Dixon has to come back. Dion Fourie has obviously signed for another season. Ruan Nel, we've kind of forgot about, but it was brilliant for us in that 13 jersey the past 3 seasons. Obviously, he's been out forever, so I'm looking forward to seeing him back in that 13 jersey. I want to see that centre combination of Dan Dupe at inside centre and Ruan Nel at outside centre. We've been kind of unstoppable with that pairing. The chemistry in that pairing is absolutely brilliant. And then Damian Willems at fullback. He is my fullback. He's my fullback for the Springboks. I believe if you're going to play fullback for the Springboks, you have to play fullback for the Stormers as well. I know Warwick Gelant has been good this season, like really good this season. But in the end, you're taking your Springbok fullback to play fullback. I'm not going to play Damian Willems at 12 to accommodate for someone else to play outside centre or whatever it is, right? Play them in the strongest position. It's the same thing as the Sasha and Mani kind of discussion. But anyway, that's it on the Stormers one. Obviously, I've talked more about the Stormers than I'll speak about Glasgow, just because I know a bit more of the Stormers and I'm a Stormers fan. But Glasgow, absolutely sensational. Blitzed us, dominated us. And I'm really looking forward to the performance that they can put up at the Viva against Leinster, right? Because they'll have some fire in their belly after what happened in the Champions Cup. Moving on to the next game that was played, the Bulls took on Edinburgh. And wow, the Bulls, we spoke about them being the team to beat from South Africa. And that is a fact. They are the team with the momentum. They're looking the best and those type of things. But it can't be like this where it was like the same as last season, where it's like patchy. Started off dreadfully, then played like 120% team, right? Like absolutely just dominated Edinburgh, and then just fell off at the end again, right? Conceding, what was it, two tries there at the end. The Bulls have to fix up on that. That is what cost them literally last season in the final, right? They let that game slip. And you can't allow that again this season. The Bulls are by far the best South African team at the moment. They've got the most cohesion, the best chemistry and those type of things. They just need that solid performance. They've got all the players in the world. This is their season. It's the season for them to finally go and do it. I know they'll have to probably travel to Leinster if they get past Glasgow. But if Glasgow wins that game at the Aviva, you've got a you've got a rematch at Loftus Versfeld of last season, and then you have to get over the line, right? Obviously, a magical moment there with the numbers on the jersey, having the memories of Cornel Hendricks on the jersey, retiring the 14 jersey for the rest of the season, as far as I know. I don't think it was just for this game, for the rest of the season. So Caden Moody played in that 24 jersey. But the takeaways for the Bulls, obviously physically dominant, right? They've been all season. Willie Leroux played like he was the Willie Leroux that came from the Griquas and the Cheetahs again. Like, he's been great all season, but he took about 10 years back. He went back 10 years to put in the performance that he did against Edinburgh. It was absolutely sensational. Like, he looked unstoppable. Give me that, Willie, to play about 20 more caps for the Springboks. I'll take that all day long. Talking points, and I want to hear your opinion on it, because obviously there's an international audience on this. Sebastian de Klerk getting sent off on that yellow card, right? What was he supposed to do? There's no way on earth that was a yellow card. He's about a meter away from Darcy Graham. Darcy Graham does this thing where he looks like he gets knocked out cold, right? But he stands up 2 minutes later and plays like there was nothing wrong. He's a meter away. He doesn't really jump or whatever. He tries to get out of the way. He's right next to, or right in front of Darcy Graham. There's nowhere for Sebastian de Klerk to go. How is that a yellow? Like, it physically doesn't make sense to me. Like, when I went onto Twitter and everyone was in outrage about it, I have to bring it to you guys, because obviously that's South Africans that talk about it. But I don't like the Bulls at all. They are our biggest rivals, right? But I can admit that they're brilliant. But I never thought that was yellow. I thought that's just where's the discussion about, like, it's a normal rugby collision? That's what it felt like. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about that. But Edinburgh, on the other hand, do they think about this game as one that kind of got away? They were in a massive lead at one point. What was it? I think it was 21-10, 21-8, right? And then the Bulls just kind of switched on and took the game from them. But they had the opportunities to win this game. And obviously this is the final game for a lot of these Edinburgh players. I mean, as far as I know, there's 12 players leaving, the likes of a Jamie Ritchie, whoever. So it's a big swing for them. And they would kind of feel like they could have got over the line here. That's just my opinion maybe on it. But anyway, the Bulls, good performance, a lot of positives to take, but also a lot of fixing up to do in terms of the soft tries that they conceded at the start of the game, the way that they ended the game. You can't do another drop-off season at the end of every game. It's not. If you do that against the likes of Glasgow and Leinster, it's going to be a tough game for you to win, right? You can't concede those so many soft tries. And I can say that as a Stormers fan, because we almost only concede soft tries. Like, it's just too easy. But yeah, well done to the Bulls. 42 points to 33. That's a crazy amount. Like 75 points in the quarterfinal. Anyway, then we had Leinster taking on Scarlets, and Leinster came off to an absolute flyer. Like, really, an absolute flyer. Looked very good, and then I don't want to take away from Leinster, because Scarlets pitched up. They pitched up to play. And they played sensational rugby. They were never really in it where it was like, okay, they're going to win this game or anything. Like, maybe at the end of the first half when they scored that try where Ellis Mead kind of kicked the ball through after Prendergast knocked the ball. Kind of thought, okay, maybe there's a chance for the upset victory. But it's just rugby heritage where Leinster's been there, they've done it, they kept their composure, and in the end they just got the victory by 12 points. We didn't talk about this game too much in the preview. I know I didn't do a solo preview or anything about that. Sorry, life just got a bit busy. But yeah, we all expected Leinster to pitch up and get the victory. Obviously, they'll focus now on the semi-final, and if they get through that, go into the final to finally get that victory in the URC. But the Scarlets throughout this season, I've said it before, I'll say it again, in terms of the expectations that there were for them versus the reality of the matter, they can keep their heads up. Like, they've had a brilliant season. Even the way that they've gone out fighting, right? They've thrown punches all around, beaten teams that could be seen on paper as a lot better than them. They've done it, right? And now it's all about kicking on next season. So yeah, well done to Scarlets. Just a good overall season. And then finally, obviously the talking point of the weekend, you've got the Sharks that beat Munster 24-24, extra time, draw, wink, and then goes into the kicking fest. Now I want to ask you guys, should it be like that? I know as a fan and stuff, and obviously as a neutral, it's a spectacle, right? Like, do you like watching it? It's tense. You wonder is he going to make it? Is he not going to make it? Obviously a magical moment for Bradley Davids coming on. Literally 2 minutes before the final whistle, after extra time, comes on just to take the kicks. So massive expectations on him. And then, but my point is, should that have happened? Is that a fair way for the match to end? I think the fair thing would have been if the Sharks just went through. You say extra time, okay, it couldn't have been decided. We're going on what has happened throughout the league season. Sharks placed higher, they got more wins, those type of things. They go through automatically. And I would have said the same thing if it was the other way around. But now you're going into a kick battle where it's just like a toss of a coin. And you can't, I know you can say, well, you have that in football where it's like penalty shootout, right? Or football or soccer. But then I'm like, well, if you got so many draws in football that you kind of have to have something after extra time. And even when it's football or penalty shootout, you've got a goalie in there, right? And they train and they try and get into each other's head. It's a lot of studying, a lot of effort that goes into that. The goalie can save the ball. When rugby, it's just a kicker kicking to goal, right? And you just hope the one guy misses the goal. I'm just thinking, like, ethically, should that be the decider, right? Like, let's say it's Conor Murray and Peter O'Mahony's final game for Munster. They're sitting there, you're asking, how did that final game go? You talk about the romanticism of how they went through and everything, snuck in, gave themselves an opportunity in Durban to go into the semi-final, and then they just lost at a kick-out, which isn't really anything. Where if you could have said, okay, they fell out because they just struggled the league season, but they're happy with it. Now you've got a kick-out to kind of decide it. I'm not too sure about that, but let me know what you guys think about that one. But anyway, about the game. Did you see BETWAY? Holy shit. Like, this was a fight till the death between both teams. Like, both teams pitched up, nitty-gritty. Munster could have got the win, right? But obviously, the Sharks scored 2 tries there to get themselves back into the lead. Ethan Hooker, once again. I feel like I sing this guy's praises every single week. He has been sensational this season. Once again, another man of the match performance by him. And he has to get a Springbok call up. I'm sorry, he just deserves it. The way that he's played all season, he deserves it. And it kind of went the same way as the Scarlets game between the Sharks and the Scarlets, where there was almost no points in the first 30 minutes. And then, obviously, Munster got their points with a beautiful try. Mapimpi just couldn't get a hold of the ball on the wing. Calvin Nash went in. Another slip-up by Mapimpi, where he just like slippy feet. Right, slippery feet, and then Munster went in again with that one. Fussy had a great game, to be fair. He's putting his name in the bag for that Springbok jersey again. Like, he's had a very good season as well when he's been fit. He obviously had to deal with a massive injury. But the Sharks, I would say the performance was better than we've seen all season. Right, you knew this was going to be a tough battle. This is a massive confidence-boosting victory for them. It doesn't matter how they got it. They just got the victory. And now they're going to go against the Bulls, and they'll fancy their chances against the Bulls. Obviously, when South African team against South African team with the rivalry, form goes out the window. You just take momentum that you have, and they're on a massive winning streak. So they'll take it. The same as the Bulls. That'll be a feisty battle to get into the final as well. And if you have the likes of the Stormers taking on, the Sharks taking on Leinster at the Aviva, it feels like watching Ireland versus South Africa. But the Sharks, they'll take it all day long. And for Munster, if you look at the entire season that they had and the way that they ended it, I would say it's been a successful season for Munster in terms of the comeback that they had. They had a decent run in the Champions Cup. They started off really, really tough in the URC and had to scrape a couple of wins together to get themselves in the fight. And I mean, if one guy kicked his kick, this could have been a different story. They would have backed themselves at Loftus. They've been there, they've done it, they've beat the Bulls at Loftus before. And you just don't put it past anyone to lose against Munster, whether it's home or away. But anyway, a great weekend of rugby, great representation of the URC. And now we move into the semi-finals, which will be an absolutely fiery battle, and I love to see it. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.